Kendrick Lamar's productions have remained at the top of the billboards, Grammy nominations, and charts forever. I'm going to show you the secrets that you can use when producing to get the same kind of vibe in your melodies, the same rhythm and bounce in your beats, and the mixing techniques. A lot of guides and tutorials only focus on one style for an artist, but I'm going to be going through and showing you multiple styles and how to achieve it. You can use any DAW, you can use stock plugins, and you don't need any kind of paid tools or sample packs to follow along with this guide or tutorial. There is this absolutely incredible free tool I am going to show you, which is going to make it so easy to make perfect Kendrick Lamar type beats. It's called the Cultures Teaser Pack, and it's a free sample pack that we're releasing before the full Cultures production suite releases. This sample library is split up into different cultures, so you can drag and drop whichever emotion, feeling, or rhythm you want from that given culture. I'm going to go into the American folder, and I'm going to grab the live choir melodies, and the one that I really want to use for this beat is this one here called Higher. Higher, higher. These are live exclusive vocals that we recorded for this sample library. If you click the link in the description, you can get this sample pack for free. Lots of Kendrick songs use samples. If you have a listen to Money Trees, for example, this was actually a sample of this song here. Has an amazing melody and amazing live vocals. I personally don't have the connections that Kendrick has. Him and his producers and his label can go and get big samples like this cleared, and that's one of the main reasons I built this free sample pack, is so you can have amazing samples like this when producing and you're not going to get sued, copyright strike, have to credit anyone, or get any samples cleared. I also grabbed this melody here. This is from another Wavegrind sample pack, and one of the things I think is so special about this is this one bit here. It has that kind of rising energy that Money Trees has, because they went in and reversed the sample and chopped it up. So every piano note that's playing is actually sounding like a reverse piano note, which adds so much tension. So combining that with the live vocals, it sounds absolutely incredible. If you want to get a kind of Kendrick Lamar style vibe, you really have to go and find some awesome live vocal samples like these here. One of the best things about the Wavegrind packs is you can actually go and grab the MIDI from a melody and drag it in just like this here. Go and grab the piano. One other thing I'm going to do is go into Tools, View, Scale Highlighting, and turn this on A major. As you can see, this melody is in A major, same as the live vocals, and that means that the notes highlighted in the background are all going to be in the right scale. So you can go and build some counter melodies really easily following those notes. I want to copy this kick sequence I made onto this bass here. One of the best things about having the MIDI is you can go and follow the notes in the background using the bass, and you'll never have an 808 or a bass that's out of key. You'll notice there are way more kicks hitting than the bass. I didn't want the bass to repeat every single time the kick is hitting, because I feel like that'll be too repetitive and there'll be too much going on. I have this very basic clap and snare sequence. The one thing I'm going to do is go and select all of these snares here, hold down Alt and change the timing slightly. And do the opposite for this one here. What this does is create a kind of layered staggered effect, and it makes it sound really wide, which is perfect for a kind of soulful Kendrick beat. Another thing you'll notice in so many of Kendrick Lamar's beats is that the drums don't sound really robotic. They kind of sound almost like they're being played on a drum machine or in real life. And one way to get a similar effect is grab all your hi-hats, go into Tools, click Randomize, and you can adjust some of these levels here. As you can see, as you turn the panning up, it makes the random panning a lot more crazy. Same as velocity. I like to leave pitch where it is, but if you go and change this, there's a slightly different pitch for every single hi-hat that hits. I think this makes it sound so much more realistic and so much more interesting. Now, if we listen to every single layer together, it's gonna sound way too crowded, but if you have a listen to it, you can hear how amazing this beat sounds. I'm going to go and mix and arrange this beat in just a second, but first I'm going to jump in and create more of a high energy hip hop trap beat for Kendrick. Something like Humble, Mad City, or DNA. To start this beat, I'm just going to grab some inspiration from this free teaser pack. I'm going to go into the America sample library. I'm going to go into the hip hop melody section. This one here sounds really good. I'm gonna grab the stems and the MIDI for it. Me and my team spent so long going and making all these melodies and samples from scratch, so I think it's fair that I get to use one in a video. I grabbed this sound here, so I can arpeggio, and I'm gonna grab the MIDI from this melody and just drag it on top, and we have this here. Sounds super high energy and ready for a trap beat. I grabbed chords that followed those melodies. I copied them on top of Rhodes like this here, and I went and trimmed them like this. One thing I've noticed in so many of Kendrick's kind of trap beats is they really utilize gaps in between notes, gaps in between hi-hats, and also gaps in the arrangement by taking the drums out. And this adds so much to the bounce, whereas for an R&B style Kendrick track, it tends to have a wider melody, a wider drum sequence, and lots of reverb to make the whole beat sound really wide. So we're trying to get the opposite effect in this beat, which is why I've cut this out here. Alternatively, you can go and grab a plugin like Gross Beat and go and grab like a gate. But it's an option if you don't want to manually do that inside the melody. One of my favorite ways to randomize and chop up a melody is to drag it onto an arpeggio. So we have this one here. I grabbed the synth MIDI from this melody, and this is what we have. Just to have even more freedom when picking which melody to use when arranging this beat, I went and created this melody here. I might change the sound around, but it has a kind of Mad City vibe with those really quick, repetitive descending chords. Get a punchy kick. I have this little sequencer added here. We have an 808 come in right before the kick, and then an 808 that comes in after, but the volume is set all the way to 0. So the 808 cuts off as soon as the kick hits in. So the 808 cuts off as soon as the kick hits, and this is what it sounds like. I have this clap here. This clap with a slight delay, crash sample. Added this chant here. A snare with a slight delay. We have this snare fill here. I'm going to turn the volume down. It really blends into the background. I went into the drum MIDI section and I grabbed a hi-hat MIDI and just dragged it on top of this hi-hat here. Cut out these notes at the very end of the bar. And these gaps can add so much bounce. I created this guitar melody here, and I'm going to move it down an octave. There are so many guitar melodies that Kendrick has used in his tracks. You have this bass here, and in DNA. One thing you'll notice is it sounds very spacey, the guitar that they use. So I'm going to make sure to add some reverb and some delay, maybe even a phaser to make it blend in a little bit more. But with that said, this beat is basically done. I'm going to go back and mix and master the first one and arrange it, and then come back and do this to the second beat. This step is so important for a track like this with so many layers, especially with multiple different live vocals. I'm going to go through one by one and mix this. I'm going to first turn the stereo separation to 100% merged, which is going to mean that the track is in mono. Makes it slightly easier to hear what's going on. I'm going to turn my audio interface up and have the melody starting quite quiet, which gives you so much room to go and make the drums louder and to maximize or compress the track at the end. I'm going to grab an EQ and just add a high pass filter on this melody here. There's all these frequencies down here that we're cutting out, and it takes away almost nothing from the melody, but it's going to stop it from clashing with layers like the bass here. Exact same thing for this Rhodes here. There's already a reverb that I added onto these vocals here, so they sound perfect. This one lead here adds so much energy, but I don't want it to be too loud. I'm going to solo this pad and do the exact same thing by adding a high pass filter. I'm going to add some reverb on this snap. Some reverb on this hi-hat. And add a little bit of distortion onto the bass. If we reset the stereo separation, you can see how wide this track sounds. I'm going to open up Isotope Ozone 9. I'm going to go into the maximizer. The LUFS are set at -14. I'm going to lower the threshold, and I'm going to change the character to slow. I'm going to click right click and then S, which is going to split this by channel. I'm going to drag all of that down here. So we have a 16-bar intro here. We then have a 16-bar verse, and we have this 8-bar hook here where we have the choir vocals come back in. I'm just going to crop them off like this. And right before the hook comes in, I cut out some of the drums at the end here, and the drop kind of sounds like this. Inside the Culture teaser pack, I'm going to go into drum samples, processed, and I'm going to grab a transition, something kind of chill. I'm gonna line it up, lower the volume. Adds a lot of energy to the track. I'm also gonna go into the Asian ambience. This is from a beach in Seoul, South Korea. I'm gonna have this blend into the background. It's gonna be a cool kind of intro. I'm gonna add an RC20. Add a teeny bit of a filter here. And then duplicate all of this here and use this bass for the outro. And as you can see, the finished track is about 3 minutes and 10 seconds long, which is absolutely perfect. I'm gonna play the full finished beat at the end. For the meantime, I'm gonna go mix, master, and arrange this other Kendrick beat. Just as a refresher, this is what this sounded like. And it sounds absolutely hectic, but there's way too much. I'm gonna send all these to the mixer track here. I'm gonna put this in mono, and I'm gonna go through and mix these one by one. I kind of want this guitar to have the same kind of effect as some of the other guitars in Kendrick songs. I also added this flanger. I'm gonna add this reverb. I'm gonna go large hall. And one other thing I'm gonna do is go into it, just randomize some of the levels. These already have a lot of really cool processing on them. And add some reverb on this melody here. Now that the melodies are basically mixed, I'm going to mute a lot of them while I go through and mix the drums, because we're not going to have all the melodies coming in at once, so it's unrealistic to mix it that way. And add some reverb onto this clap. This background hi-hat here is going to have some reverb. I'm actually going to go and lower the pitch of this hi-hat slightly. I'm going to go and open up Isotope Ozone again on the master. Go and reset the stereo separation. I'm going to do an 8-bar intro, so I'm going to remove all the drums and then decide which melody layers I want to be in for the intro. Obviously these ones here are all way too much. I'm going to add just part of that melody at the start. I'm going to add this teeny bit of ambience in the background that was recorded from an airport in Tokyo. What we have here is we have this 8-bar intro with this cool bit of ambience in the background. We have a 16-bar verse here, and then we have this 8-bar hook. I'm going to grab some transition samples. This melody here sounds really good. It has a lot of energy, but it doesn't really feel like a Kendrick style melody. I want some of the other melodies to shine, so I'm going to turn it down. Same as this one here, I'm going to add a half speed on it. I think the vibe of this beat is absolutely insane. If I had to be honest, I feel like it's a little bit too high energy for Kendrick. He tends to have a lot less layers. If I was actually going to send this out to Kendrick, I'd probably go and delete most of these and just have the beat sound like this. I got way too carried away when going and adding some of those melodies and arpeggios. If you want to learn how other producers make their top beats for top artists, click one of the recommended videos. And if you want all the samples and free samples used in these beats, click the link in the description or go to wavegrind.com. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.